Welcome to Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast. We talk all things Marvel Cinematic Universe, or as I like to call it, MCU. MCU.
Only you.
Just me. No one else can say that.
Nobody else.
Those three letters.
That's it.
Mine.
Oh, his.
But we talk all things Marvel Cinematic Universe, including the TV shows, a lot of the news around the production, and also recently this year we've been watching and talking episode by episode through all of the Disney Plus series.
Yep.
WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier,
and also now
Loki. And we're calling the series Looking at Loki because that's what we're doing.
We're looking at him.
We're looking at him a lot.
We're looking at him. We're looking at the things he does.
We're looking at variants of him.
We're looking at multiple of him, maybe.
Different versions, maybe, of him.
Who knows?
And we're definitely not licking Loki, because that's what you wanted to call it.
Yes, or lurking Loki.
Ugh.
Lurking?
Yeah.
Yep. Loving Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Lubing up on him.
Okay. You're just licking, loving, and lubing. The triple L's. My name's Emmanuel.
My name's Sofia.
I just realized I say a lot.
You do. A lot.
Why do I do that?
I don't know.
That's like filler.
Why do you do that?
It's a filler noise. It's like some people say like, but I just go, Yeah. I need to stop that, I think. If I'm ever going to run for Congress.
I think I say a lot. I go, well, I'll go on.
Okay.
How many more sounds can we put in this?
Glug, 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 glug. But we're talking about episode 2 of Loki. It's a lot. There's a lot. It's called The Variant is the title. Mm-hmm. And we definitely get some variances.
This is true.
We got more TVA. We obviously have more Loki. But Sophia, what'd you think about this episode?
I thought it was really fun. I thought that a lot of questions were answered just because of the ending. And a lot of suspicions put to rest. And it was a good episode.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
See, I said a lot in that, huh?
I know, yeah.
Dang. That's on me.
This is it seems like Loki is now fully a part of the
on
TVA,
board.
even though he's obviously not trusted. I say obviously a lot too. I'm just noticing that.
Okay.
You notice that?
You say interesting a lot too.
You know, something that's interesting, but anyways, he's not trusted by anyone other than Mobius or Owen Wilson's character, it seems. Mm-hmm. And, it starts off with them going to a botched investigation at the Renaissance Fair.
Right.
Where they thought they would find Loki, but they don't. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of understanding and investigating, especially with Loki trying to figure out where he would hide. And we now know that this troublemaking variant is hiding out in apocalyptic events or disasters.
Yeah.
And then we finally see who that variant is. And
wow, we're just cutting to it, huh?
Well, I'm just saying, like, all of this happens, and it's important to note that we're almost halfway done with the series. This is only a 6-episode show.
Oh, that's upsetting. I thought it was 9.
No, it's a 6-episode show.
My.
Yeah, so we're.
No wonder it's moving very quickly.
If things feel like they're moving very, very quickly, it's because they are. And these episodes are fairly long too. They're what, like almost an hour long each.
Yeah.
So they're definitely not those little short tidbits that we were expecting, especially after watching WandaVision in a handful of the episodes of Falcon Winter Soldier. These are like little mini movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we are back with Loki. We get that cool what?
It's just like, well, yeah.
No, but I'm saying in this episode where
it's a series.
we're back with him, and they go to that Renaissance Fair, which I think was a fun place of time travel.
Yes, let's talk specifics about that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I thought it was fun because, you figured there would be time travel, and at the beginning of this episode, you thought, oh, they're going to go back into, medieval ages, and it was just the 80s or something. Like it's kind of like a redirect, and now we know that specific place is where the one of the comic book writers of the TVA, of Marvel, who had the character Mobius, Owen Wilson's based off of. That's where he was born. So there's a lot of like cool little Easter eggs for them paying homage to the comic books.
Oh, that's cool.
And the people who made them. But what did you think about kind of the the way that went down. I guess that mess up.
I love that we are still under the impression that Loki is the variant because of the powers that are displayed within that sequence. Just because of the mind control it's not mind control, it's
enchantment.
Yes, thank you. He calls it that. And
that's really important,
it's
especially
really important for this
on.
episode because you're still under the impression like, damn, you know that this is Loki, like it can be nobody else but Loki, this gots to be him. And so I think that was really smart. I think that planting that seed of the kidnapping first round in the ep is very important too.
Yeah.
Because it gives us something to strive for, and it gives something for the TVA to strive for, because they're like, oh my gosh, she's adapting again.
And that agent that they do capture, I forgot her name. I think she's just like a number or something.
It's like 20 something.
But she is like mumbling at the end of this episode about something being all real.
I think it's like C20. E20, C20,
probably C or D.
Like that. Yeah. C20. It's C20.
One of the 26 letters. How many letters are there?
It's C20.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet?
24.
Oh man. But yeah, she is kind of the actual MacGuffin, because when she's captured, which is the first time, the variant has never kidnapped a person until now, just stolen those little vials of reset juice. Mm-hmm. But really important to the story, because by the time you see her, she's gone through something.
Yes.
She's definitely going to have a lot of clues to what the purpose is.
Do you think she was... Spoiler alert. Do you think she was left behind on purpose?
You know, I feel like if they kidnapped her, they brought her for a reason as well.
Like left her to be found?
Left her to be found for a reason. And I'm sure we're gonna find out in the next episode. But it's also, you know, they may have gotten something from her as well, and then just have gotten over it. You know, like they don't need it anymore.
That's true.
Because it seems like there's quite a few enchanted people. By the time we're at the very last at that rock smart, like we're just enchanting everyone left and right. You know, to fight and stuff.
Yeah, but I think that sneaking that in the first scene was really important, just because it drives everything else. And I do think that Loki going back and betraying them whenever they go follow back up is not. I mean, he didn't betray them, but he was stalling a lot, and that kind of showed Mobius like, okay, so you're still being a little bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's still Loki. Like, let's not get it twisted. Like, he's still trying to manipulate. He's still trying. But I do also love that Mobius figures it out. Yeah, he knows not very quickly. Let me rephrase. He knows by the end of it that Loki's bullshitting.
Yeah. And it seems like he might have gotten taken advantage of once, but he's very quick to understand that. And it just shows how much is at stake for him, because there's even a scene where he goes to Ravana Renslayer, Gugu Mumbata Ra. Yes. And it at least seems like he's always
like fighting for him.
Yeah, he has to fight to have Loki there. I mean, partially probably because they know Loki is the variant.
And to be fair, but to be fair, it's also his entire job to study variants like Loki. So it's not, and they also show that they've found different versions of Loki, variant Loki. Yeah. It shows him being super muscular. It shows him winning the World Cup. It shows him
looking like a monster.
And you know what? I wonder if those numbers that are next to those images are referencing to the comic books, I wonder, because are there different versions of Loki in the comic books?
There are,
I'm sure, right?
including they go through and they do show quite a few of them, including the one they actually show the one that we're going to talk about at the end here. Oh, well. But yeah, like it is clear that no matter who they know it's Loki. They just don't know which one.
Which one? Yeah.
If there is one, you know.
But it's I think it's really, really cool how it just kind of, that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of questions were answered, a lot of suspicions were answered. Yeah. Just within this one ep. And I do also love what's his name? Owen Wilson. I love his character in this, because you really get to dive deep into like why he cares about Loki so much, talking about the meeting,
why he does what he does, because Loki doesn't understand why you would want to be part of the TVA if everything is pointless.
It gets super deep there for a second over the salad talk. Like, man, oh man, that is
explaining things with salt and pepper.
Yeah. That was for the apocalypse part. But I'm saying before that, whenever they were sitting down, like having a snack or something after, like. Yeah. Loki's like, okay, well then explain it to me, like help me understand. And I was like,
it seems to me
damn.
a little bit more of an earnest version of what happens in Rick and Morty a lot, which is in the you know, who the writer
creators,
comes from. But, you know, it is kind of in this bureaucracy of the TVA, which is boring, a lot of really big existential questions about existence and life and whether things matter or things that, you know, don't line up the way they should. But yeah, and this episode also reminds me a lot because we're talking about time and variance and paradoxes. It reminds me a lot of Doctor Who, which is a long-running show.
Yeah.
There's many versions of the Doctor. He's visiting all moments in history, different parallel universes, different planets and dimensions. So there's like a precedent. This kind of show is exciting.
When you're dealing with time, like it's literally limitless. Like you can go wherever, like it can lead to so many different things. So, and this show is doing it so well, and they're explaining it fairly well too, because I'm able to keep up. You know what I'm saying?
And it is a lot. And I think that the fact that there are still some really big question marks, including the Timekeepers, who Loki really wants to meet, who we see in statues everywhere,
who I really want to
meet, everyone is talking about, but
everyone's talking about him.
No one's actually seen. So far in the series.
Has she seen them?
I think everyone in the TVA maybe has seen it. We don't really know.
Owen Wilson has not. He admitted that he has not seen them.
I mean, and it seems like they're all, and this is the part that I get that Loki's frustrated by,
the higher ups have.
They're choosing the timeline that matters, but it's fairly arbitrary. It's not like this is the way it should be. That's it. They I think they're deciding
it's their justification.
Which
I don't know how I feel
time
about that.
Streams work, and if we're headed towards Kang the Conqueror, there's something going on where we may be incredibly disappointed. There may not be Timekeepers at all.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, who knows what's happening?
I think that's what I said last step. Like, who is to judge all this?
Yeah.
Like, why? Who's really in charge? Like, what if someone's like belittling the Timekeepers and being like, nah, and speaking on their behalf instead? Or like, what if it's just not? What if it's like a vote somewhere? Like, I don't know.
Totally possible. And it does. I mean, what's really exciting for me is the fact that this is all just laying the groundwork to really blow up the
together.
MCU.
Yep.
Not only have kind of this massive event with Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch, but I mean, we're talking everything: Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four. It may a lot of it may spurn from this one show series, which is really, really exciting. But
it's very important.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the disasters, and we talked a little bit about the salad, which I think is now a big meme: the salt and the pepper and the salad stuff.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to note the way that they classify, because they go to Pompeii.
Right.
But they have different grades for disasters. I don't know if you caught, but the Ragnarok disaster is only a category, like 8 or something like that?
Yeah.
Class 7 apocalypse.
Yes. And that reminds me a lot of hurricanes.
Yeah.
Or not the hurricanes, tornadoes.
Which happens, I guess, in this, right?
Yeah.
But and a lot of people pointed out that the hurricane that we see at the end is a class 10, which is supposed to be greater than Asgard. So is that the end of the Earth? Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, than Asgard. Yeah. Well, because, I mean, if you see, first of all, it takes place in 2050, which I'm not very comfortable with that. Yeah. Marvel.
Well, they are kind of sending a message. If you notice, a lot of those disasters are climate related.
Yeah. So that makes me real nervous because that's in my lifetime.
They know something's up.
Thank you for that, Marvel.
This is kind of a side note, but Brent and I did a podcast talking about
Hey, Brent.
Post-apocalyptic movies, so movies set in like a fucked up future or whatever.
Oh my god!
And a lot of them are like in 5 years or 10 years. Children of Men specifically takes place in like 2026.
Oh
and
my
that's
gosh!
when like no one can have babies and everyone's like attacking each other for resources.
Handmaid's Tale type.
And I was like, that's in 5 years, but who knows? Anyways, but yeah, there are a lot of climate disasters, at least on Earth,
right?
That are class, and I mean, in class 10, I don't know if that's the highest one, but that seems like it's a pretty big deal. But we find out that is where the Loki variants are hiding because they don't really set off the radar because something big's going to happen.
And they don't leave anything behind either because everything is destroyed.
There's nothing that they can leave behind. And, we test it with Pompeii and a pretty funny, like Latin screaming match that Loki has especially when Mobius tells him to like keep a low profile. And then it becomes a search for which apocalyptic event
would he pick,
and they find one for
sure.
Yeah,
they do.
They go to Alabama. And they go to a store which is being turned into a storm shelter called the Rocks Cart, which is itself an Easter egg of a company from the comic books in the 70s based on Exxon gas. They're kind of an evil company, but Rocks Cart, which is kind of like a version of that. And this is kind of where the final stuff takes place.
Do hurricanes actually happen in Alabama?
Yeah.
They do.
It's a little too far inland to be incredibly, incredibly devastating. But
like how it was shown, because that was like flooded.
That was the water.
That reminded me of The Day After Tomorrow. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's also something they're trying to say is the shoreline
is going to rise.
Going to rise, and Alabama's going to be shorefront now.
Oh, bye Alabama.
But when we go inside, everyone joins the TVA Invest Resources. And Loki meets several enchanted people, and it's
pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy. Hey, those actors got to play Loki for a little bit too, which is exciting for them.
Well, we also get to see what is kind of going on, or how the actual variant is stirring the pot a bit, because we start to see some evidence of what they've actually been collecting. We see all of those little, I don't think they're not like time erasers, but they're like resets for the timeline. It's like whatever the agents leave behind whenever they are sent to kind of fix everything.
Yeah.
If they can't fix everything, I'm assuming that that's like their last resort, so they have to reset the timeline or whatever, and then they just kind of crank it back. Kind of looks like what is that called? The little, like an hourglass, but from like Guardians of the Galaxy or something. Like it looks very futuristic, and then just kind of resets a bit. But there's like a shit ton of them over there. My gosh, Variant over there has been collecting like chingos, like so many of them.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really cool, because like I wasn't sure. I thought that they were gonna all like go off at one time, but like in different time periods. So to see that they were all going off literally in the same spot, that's probably what kicks off this whole disaster that they're hiding in. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean all of these nexuses or all these branching and we get a really cool visualization of that too.
The shit hits the fan.
And I mean it seems like it's just there to stir chaos. I originally thought that Loki was just trying to reset the whole thing so that he can maybe survive longer in all of the different timelines or something. But we're still yet to find out actually what the purpose is, other than chaos, or what the reaction is. And we also aren't sure about the Loki variant that's doing everything. A lot of people, she's seemingly dressed. Oh, I mean, this is the big reveal. We find out who it is, and it's not Tom Hiddleston. Right?
No, it's not.
It's a different actress. I found her name. You're gonna like it.
It's a blonde girl,
Sofia Di Martino, an English actress.
Nice.
Yeah, Sophia.
It's me.
It's you. Wow, a lot of people assumed Lady Loki because her costume is very similar with the two horns. In the credits, she is credited as Sylvie instead of Lady Loki or anything like that. John actually texted me right after. Sylvie Lushton is in the comic books. Okay. She's a regular person, but then Asgardians show up in her hometown, and she gets powers after that, and she becomes the Enchantress. And I think that is really who we're dealing with. That's what's going on. Because I mean, we already talked specifically. They're saying that all of these people are enchanted. Like, they're not saying they're hypnotized. They're not saying they're, mind controlled. They're saying they've been enchanted. Yeah. So I think we've seen Enchantress, and I do feel, and I don't know if you feel that she may be kind of pulling a lot of the strings, because even them showing up at this Rocks Cart, she intentionally, this is kind of the very end of this episode, she opens up a window to another place, walks through it, then leaves it open. Just looks at Loki and leaves it open.
Oh, she for sure looks at him, and he's picking up on her vibe. He knows what the deal is. It's Loki.
Yeah. And Lady Loki is a variant of Loki.
Yeah.
Enchantress I don't think is, but it's possible that she's also, or I guess we can talk about it, like what your predictions are, but she could be working for another Loki as well. That's how she got her powers. But what do you think about her?
I think that's totally possible. I think that her and other some sort of variant Loki have met in the past or present or future or whatever, and just another timeline, and he convinced her at some point whenever he did discover her for whatever reason to kind of like mash up like, hey, I've been to the TVA, like maybe you can come with me to the TVA, maybe we can like really fuck shit up over there. And so I can totally see that happening. I don't really understand if because there are multiple variants. Let's remind ourselves that it's not just Loki fucking up the timeline. Like it happens just all the time anyway.
That's why there's a TVA.
So she could just be one of those variants too. That's just like, oh, well, she could have came up with the idea first and then just taken credit because she looks so much like Loki and because she has the same powers as Loki and because there are multiple Lokis. She could have known that they were going to blame Loki anyway.
Yeah.
And because multiple times she tells him like, this is not about you.
Yeah.
It's not about you. Everybody thinks it's about you.
Yeah.
But it's not about you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that could be totally possible. Like, she just knows that she's throwing Loki under the bus anyway, and she's just fucking shit up.
I'm getting the feeling that the overarching theme here, especially with the questioning that Loki is constantly doing with Mobius and everyone, is kind of this sense of freedom and maybe the lack of it with the TVA and with the Timekeepers. And it seems like maybe he has a thirst for actual freedom, especially now that he knows that he's technically never been free to do whatever. There hasn't really been free will this whole time.
Or he just wants to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Like everybody who believes in them so much is like, why do you believe in them so much? Like, why?
Yeah.
And he just wants to really mess stuff
why
up.
Why do they get to pick and choose? And it's interesting because Mobius has this whole thing with a jet ski. And he's never ridden one and never gotten it. And that drives Loki crazy.
And Loki's like, okay.
Like, what are you saying? But yeah, I mean, I feel like by the end of this series, and this may be a really big, broad prediction, we're going to end up with multiple timelines. And that's why Marvel can do all these different shows. And who knows? It'll just be just a giant, unrestricted, wild thing that's happening. But I want to just pull up a list. So there are some confirmed.
Wait. Did you say that they speak Latin in Pompeii?
Yeah.
It's Italian.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I just thought about it right now.
It was so far ago, so long ago, I was like, it was like in the AD. I don't know if they're going to be speaking Italian.
Oh, is Italian structured after that?
Yeah, it's 29 AD. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, sure, now I think they speak Italian, but who knows? Yeah.
I don't know.
This is only 29 years after Jesus died.
79?
You could have been 0. I think it's 29 AD, 29? I believe. Yeah. So you could have been 0 years old and be in your almost 30 now after Jesus died. Okay. But here are some the Nexus events. So they do drop hints of where all of these, I guess,
variants are?
All of the, not even
or
variants.
apocalypse.
Not apocalypses, where all of the, I guess, time streams split up. Yeah. All of the different places and times where that happened in that final scene. And here's just some of them.
Where like it all
diverges,
off. Yeah. So when they all go off at the same time.
So here's some of those places. You ready? Vormir, the location of the Soul Stone. Asgard. I mean, of course. Yeah. Jotunheim, that's where the Frost Giants are. Remember them?
Oh, yes.
Loki's real family. Hala, the Kree homeworld. Remember the Kree? The Xandar. Where the Guardians, the Nova Corps, they were arrested there in Guardians.
Yes.
Ego, the planet that Kurt Russell was on in Guardians Volume 2. And also Titan. You know who lived there and grew up there?
Thanos.
Yeah.
Thanos.
So that's
Thanos.
So that's just some of the places we know now that there's a kind of a nexus because of what happened. All of these places we might see in the rest of Loki, especially if they're trying to close them all up.
What? But there's only 4 episodes.
Who knows? They're long eps.
That's
Who knows? True. But it's wild. I feel like. So what do you think Mobius has to do next? Like it's because Loki does go through the window.
Well, they have to. Yeah, I was about to say they have to go after Loki. I think the Timekeepers are going to be pissed. I think that. Mobius is definitely going to get in trouble because she said at the beginning of this mission, like, if anything goes wrong, I'm not going to be able, there's not much I can do. Like, so basically you're on your own. You're responsible for Loki. Like, if he decides to do anything messy. It's going to be on you to clean up, and look at what happened.
Yeah.
So he's definitely going to get in trouble. I think that the Timekeepers are going to be just really peeved. And then I also think that they're going to have to go after him. They're going to have to try to fix the mess that he left behind because of all those nexuses that are nexuses.
That sounds like a car. I drive a Nexi.
Even Nexus sounds like Alexa.
Yeah. Which I proudly own.
All right. So, anyways, but I think
that's right, everyone.
Shut up.
I have a Lexus.
Whatever.
SUV.
Terrible choice. So, but no, I do think that it's going to be a lot of cleanup, a lot of people being upset, and that the TVA is just going to be turned upside down.
Oh my gosh.
Nothing like this has ever happened before.
The TVA is scrambling.
I don't think so.
They're all out fixing things. But yeah, I don't know what the Timekeepers say. We may see them in the next episode. But I also feel like, especially approaching the midpoint, that Loki's going to learn the purpose or the reasoning that Lady Loki or Sylvie has for doing what they're doing, because this is already like the goal for Loki has been reset already a couple times, from surviving, escaping, finding his purpose, joining the TVA, and now just, it's been reset again. He's got to he's got to find out what the mission is and decide if he's a part of it. I'm also interested to know if we're going to see more variant Lokis. I feel like that's just going to, I think we're going to see more variant Lokis. I mean, they were alluded to. We saw some of them here, and I think that we're going to he's going to run across himself.
I also want to see what the Enchantress or whoever we decide that, or whoever Marvel decides that she's going to be. I want to see what she has to say to Loki, because I want to see where she goes. I want to see what that door do.
What that door? Where you go?
What that door do?
Where you go? It's funny because, speaking of Enchantress, Andrew texted and said that anytime you see these shows, the bad guy that you see in the first episode or in the trailers is not the bad guy.
No.
Don't get used to it.
Never ever.
Never
I'm
ever.
gonna be super stoked if if we were crazy right with our ridiculous predictions. And, the Timekeepers are non-existent.
Yeah, or not doing anything, or apathetic,
or they died forever ago.
In the comic books, there's quite a few different bodies like this, but the Watchers are kind of all-knowing, all-knowledgeable race of aliens that know everything, but don't do anything to change it. They just observe. That's their whole thing. Remember, Stan Lee famously has a cameo as a Watcher, which is really fun. And then the Eternals, too, that we're about to find out. They are all powerful almost, and they almost never interfere. So there's quite a few groups like them, so I could see the Timekeepers being just as either useless or too controlling, or something's up with them. But yeah, this is going to force them to do something. And then my biggest prediction is, I think, because I've been watching some Rick and Morty recently, we're going to get an army of Lokis all together.
Oh, I forgot. That's like a common thing.
That's a common thing in Rick and Morty. There's like a million Ricks out there and a million Mortys and different, variants of them. So I think we're going to see something really fun like that. Because I think what most people, I think most people are predicting and want to see is Loki v. Loki. Like they want to see Loki fighting Loki, and we didn't even get that here, even though we thought we did. It's actually Sylvia. And also, did you also notice the color of her magic, or of what her thing is?
It's green.
That was purple.
No, it's green.
No, towards the end it turns purple.
Oh, I did not see that. No.
Yeah. So the green, of course, to kind of throw us off and be like, oh, it's Loki. But when she pushes all the time stuff down, the purple light everywhere, which is that I saw. Agatha.
I thought that was just because of the reset
button thing.
Because whenever it resets, it turns purple.
I don't know. I think she's gonna have her own power, and we're gonna get this team up thing at some point.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be really cool if Loki could team up with her too. I would like that very much.
But hey, a lot of questions were answered in this episode, but plenty more left.
It ends up until the last 5 minutes. All of our answers are presented, and
the
then
biggest
it's
takeaway I have is we're all probably going to die, according to this, because of all the climate disasters.
Yeah, my life doesn't matter, so I'm just
going
to do whatever.
Matter.
I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want.
We don't have free will, anyways.
No,
YOLO.
We never did.
Yeah, this is actually the perfect show to see after a pandemic and all of the stuff that happened last year, right? To be like, oh, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All of this does not matter.
Right.
But Sophia, any big takeaways? Any other things that you're looking forward to? Or
no. just to see how it all plays out. I want to see. I'm actually kind of shocked that it's almost already halfway over. I thought, for some reason in my head, I thought that this was going to be a lot longer, but nah.
Are you excited about the Wednesday schedule? Disney Plus announced that all of their new shows will come out on Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
Moving forward, I guess they came out on Fridays, but maybe people don't binge over the weekend like us.
That is
now it's on Wednesday.
That is a nice little treat because a lot of my assignments this summer for my summer classes, because of course I'm taking summer school, are due on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So Wednesdays are kind of like my off day then.
And you know what?
Wednesdays, the new Fridays.
The Wednesdays are the new Fridays, and they must be seeing something that shows that it's like maybe working better.
Like numbers are projecting
because they moved every single premiere to
every
Wednesday.
Series.
So
That's
it'll
wild.
be interesting. But yeah, we'll see you here next week. But Sophia, what do you have to plug?
Just the same old, you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the pod. If you want to check out some more stuff that Dolphin Pod has to offer, just go to our Patreon. It's going to be patreon.com/dolphinpod, DELFINPOD. And then, of course, if you want to follow me on social media, you sure can. Everything's going to be at _simply Sophie, SOFIEE. That's me.
Nice. And definitely, I echo everything she says. Listen to our other shows. Definitely support us on Patreon. There's exclusive stuff there. Mm-hmm. We'll see you here next week for the 3rd episode of Looking at Loki.
Looking at Loki. Bye.